Headline today in News 24, AgriSA rejects Trump's claims of land confiscation, warns of disinformation. Well, I have a warning. Watch out for disingenuous actors who tell you it's all overblown and blame Donald Trump for the African National Congress's actions, not the ANC's failed policies.
Welcome back once again. This is Chris Report, and he assured me that since Simonstown and Boulders, folks, this is Chris Wyatt reporting from South Africa.
In a disturbing sign that businesses in South Africa, starting with agriculture, are not going to step up to save South Africa from the unconstitutional and morally bankrupt Expropriation Without Compensation Act, AgriSA decides to quibble over verbs. Rather than tell the truth that land has been snatched in the past, even with compensation, AgriSA chooses to quibble over words. This is very disappointing. Trump, as is often the case, uses the wrong verb, planning or preparing, vice confiscating land.
They're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that.
And here is the agricultural community carrying the water for the African National Congress. AgriSA has slammed U.S. President Donald Trump's social media claim that South Africa is confiscating land. AgriSA CEO Johan Kotze on Friday stressed that no land confiscation has taken place. This follows the signing of the Expropriation Act on the 23rd of January. To be clear, no seizures or confiscations of private property have taken place, nor has any land been expropriated without compensation. Isolated cases of land grabs and trespassing have been dealt with. Additionally, the rumors linking farm murders to the signing of the act are baseless and irresponsible. Farmers remain productive and committed to their operations. No land has been taken under the new law. The ink is still wet on the act. Seriously? So, you don't think it's coming? When exactly was the Shisheho land grab up in Limpopo dealt with? I've yet to see any confirmation that authorities did anything to reverse that, and given the dramatic fashion and speed with which it occurred, and the justification by the land seizures, the president signed the law, we can take the land. Why does Kotze fail to mention Shisheho? Kotze said the debacle over the act was negatively impacting the investment climate for South African agriculture. Well, folks, this is very disingenuous. The negative impact he's talking about began the moment after the smiling Cheshire Cat made a big show of signing the unconstitutional act into law on the 23rd of January. Trump did not make any statements until February 3rd, 11 days after Ramaphosa signed it into law. The damage was already occurring to South African agriculture before Trump said anything. Blame Ramaphosa, not Trump. Now, Kotze also said, we take comfort in the fact that the Expropriation Act remains subject to Section 25 of the Constitution, which has not been amended. Importantly, Section 25 requires that compensation be just and equitable, ensuring a fair balance between the public interest and the rights of affected property owners. And here we have yet another powerful group of politically connected South Africans carrying the water for the ANC, falsely claiming that property owners are protected. The act, as signed into law, is unconstitutional, and it overrides Section 25, making it unconstitutional, allowing conditions that permit nil or no compensation. If AgriSA is really so naive to believe their own narrative, I feel for farmers going forward. The story of Ackerland Brewery is now making the rounds, leftists using it to dispute the notion that the government will misuse the new law. In today's News 24, Andrew Thompson tells a factually correct but far from full story in an effort to rubbish the Ackerland debacle. He fails to mention the late notice given to the property owners, the court expropriating the property, the legal battle to restore ownership, focusing instead on claiming that not only was it not expropriated, but that the owners of the game ranch, Johan Steenkamp and Arnold Klote, sold it for 80 million rand. 4 times what the government offered. Now, that's true, but it's also disingenuous. First, the author never investigates how a mining company used the government to get its way and to get possession of their land after they denied Coal of Africa, formerly GVM Metals Limited, access to the land for prospecting operations. In other words, they did not want folks destroying the land or disturbing wildlife or their guests for the sake of mining companies' profits. Coal of Africa is purportedly based in Australia, but derives all of its revenue from South Africa. Second, why should they be forced to sell their land? How was this in the public interest? Not only has the ANC glommed onto the climate change narrative, suckling at the teat of American and European climate zealots, begging for nearly $10 billion, they promised to shutter all coal-fired power stations. If they were planning on closing coal-fired power stations, why dig up more coal, except for export? Why is Coal for Africa's board loaded with Chinese nationals? Where did the nearly $37 million in coal produced in its fiscal year 2024 from its 4 mines in South Africa, Coal for Africa's only mines, by the way, Mikado, Velikari, Chapudi, General, and Mopani. Where did all that coal go? Was the coal shipped to South Africa's coal-fired power stations or to China? How has this benefited the previously or historically disadvantaged masses? Please explain that one. And even under the willing buyer, willing seller approach, where the ANC has acquired 3.9 million hectares at a cost of up to 58 billion rand, things have gone very poorly far too often. Cases in point, the Dawn Valley Farm and the Ponderosa Farm disasters in KwaZulu-Natal. Both were well-run operations destroyed by ANC negligence and internecine bickering among the claimants who destroyed the farms, and they produce nothing today. It is disappointing that legacy media, politicians, social media, and now business interests are either very lazy or are in cahoots with the ANC to distort the reality of what is going on here. The bottom line is that from January 23rd, 2025, any politician or politically connected rich and powerful person or company can misuse the new law to defraud you of your property, be it land, a flat, a home, your bank balance, or your pension funds. Do not be deceived by coffee table analysts and apologists for the communists coming for your property. Do not fall prey to the idiotic narrative, this is just Trump misunderstanding. Do not fall prey to the intentional effort to racialize this. It is a disaster for black, white, and brown South Africans and is not righting any historical injustices, only creating new ones that harm all South Africans. If black South Africans think this is for their benefit, well, I have grazing land available at a very good price in Antarctica. Would you like to buy that? Seriously, folks. Wow. AgriSA betrays South Africa's farmers. Or does it? Do you agree with AgriSA? Feel free to leave a comment behind. But it does raise questions about how the media distorts a narrative. The story about Ackerland was only partially told in News 24 today. I suspect you want the rest of the story. Cheers.